Hey, my name is Avery Taylor, and you are listening to the Larger Than Logic podcast. So, I remember a time in life when I was pursuing law enforcement, and it kind of came as a surprise because when I was growing up, I never saw myself wanting to be a cop, firefighter, anything of the sort. I always loved basketball, sports, martial arts, might have thought I might be a boxer or something like that. But I never saw myself in law enforcement until I was in college and there was a job fair in the Supreme Court of Police, which is a federal law enforcement agency in this Washington D.C. area. They set up a table, and I filled out an application, and it just so happened that my application got pulled, and I went into the process. I did a physical fitness test, different things, and even made it to an interview with one of the background investigators. But I ended up getting a letter in the mail that I was not selected. I was a bit devastated. I was hurt, I'm not gonna lie, because I began to want it, but I did not let that stop me. And so I began to continuously pursue law enforcement, right? I began to continuously pursue just trying to get picked up by a law enforcement agency. I applied to maybe like at least 6 or 7 of them, and I just kept running into brick walls: disqualified, not best qualified applicant, different things, until I finally was selected by a law enforcement agency. It was Maryland National Capital Park Police. And then I ended up literally the week when I got the phone call letting me know that I was going to be able to go to the academy. I dislocated my shoulder, had to have what's the word? It's called it's like the type of surgery where they put cameras into your body and do it from the outside. I forget the specific term, but I had to have shoulder surgery, and it took me over a year to recover from. Needless to say, I did not get to go to the academy or pursue law enforcement any longer, at least for that period of time. My recovery took a really long time. My body even now isn't what it was in terms of how my shoulder was functioning. But after I healed from my surgery, I went to apply for one more agency. I went to go take a test, a fitness test that is, and I wasn't even able to pass the fitness test, which was a big blow just to my ego and, what I thought I was capable of. But it was after so many closed doors when I realized that God might actually be trying to tell me, no, this is not for you. And that's what leads me to what we're going to be talking about today. 3 ways to know that God is telling you no. I believe this is such a timely conversation because we are living in a very, very ambitious generation, right? Whether you're looking on social media, you're on YouTube, you are watching TV, it's like everybody's doing something. Everybody has a hustle. Everybody has something that they're pursuing, whether it's good, bad, righteous, hurtful, harmful, beneficial, what have you, right? Um, and I think that especially those of us who are in tune with the Spirit of God, and then also actually care to live a life that's pleasing to God, it can sometimes be difficult to understand or know when God may be trying to let us know that something isn't for us. And though I'm not a guru and I don't have every single answer, and also understanding that nobody is the all-knowing God, nobody can have all the answers. From my experience, I can give you 3 ways of knowing that God more than likely is not trying to send you down this path. And the first way that you can know is when, kind of like the story that you just heard, you are consistently running into brick wall time after time after time after time. No matter what you do, you keep running into brick walls that are blocking you from achieving the path that you are attempting to pursue. The imagery that I get in my head when I think of this is how when you're watching a cartoon, right? We've all watched cartoons as kids, or at least I hope we've all watched cartoons as kids because they're pretty awesome, right? And you find this individual, it can be a cat, it could be a bird, it could be an old man, it could be a monster. It doesn't matter, but they walk up to a door, right? They walk up to that door and they put their hand on the doorknob to open that door. And as they twisted, they did not know that the individual or the thing they were trying to get is on the other side and has a electrical device attached to it. And every time they touch that doorknob and turn it, it shocks them. And they touch it the first time and it shocks them real bad. They take their hand off, they touch it again, it shocks them. Or you might find a situation where they touch it the first time and they grab on, they twist it, and it shocks them. Then the second time there is something hot on the doorknob, right? And so they grab the doorknob and then they burn their hand and it gets singed, like those guys on Home Alone, right? Or they'll grab that doorknob and pull on it, and the next thing you know, it's attached to some yarn or string, and so they just keep pulling the string and keep pulling the string and keep pulling the string until they pull the cork or the plug out of a grenade and get blown up. All this to say, they continuously go back and forth, attempting to get through the exact same door when it has become what's the word? Blatantly or blaringly? It has become glaringly obvious that this door is not a door that is going to be accessible by them at this point in time, or kind of frankly any other. It's obvious that this door was not set up for them to be able to go through. It's obvious that this door was not set up for them to be able to make it to the other side. There is something on the other side of that door that is actively preventing them from being able to cross and go through. And I'd like to suggest to you that sometimes this is what happens in life. When it comes to God's purpose on our life, when it comes to us becoming and pursuing and growing, there are times when something may not even necessarily be bad, wrong, or inherently, just unrighteous, right? But within that same conversation, it may not be the thing that was meant for you. It may not be the thing or the calling that was placed on your life. And in those type of situations, you'll find yourself in the predicament where you just continue to hit a brick wall. You find yourself in that predicament where no matter what you do, you cannot just seem to gain speed or momentum in the direction that you're trying to go. And that's okay, because that might be God trying to tell you, hey, this is not what I have for you, and I have something better. And so when you find yourself hitting these brick walls, maybe it might be time to take a step back and say, okay, maybe God is trying to tell me I need to redirect. I need to go into a different direction. Number two, a second way that you can know God may be trying to tell you no is when the end goal in it of itself is an unrighteous goal. When the end goal in and of itself is something that is not good for you. When the end goal in and of itself is something that is going to cause you harm. The imagery that I get in my head, let's say that you are in line at a 5-star restaurant. You, your homegirls, your homeboys, you all are in line for a table at this 5-star restaurant. It just opened. It's in the heart of the city. Everybody's out there dressed in the best clothes, man. The best cars are rolling up and down the street. You can just smell the money in the air. You can smell the vibes in the air. Good music playing. You go to the host. You ask the host for a table before so that you all can get in, right? And they say, hey, it's going to be a 2-hour wait. You say, that's fine. We want our table when it comes. So they take your phone number down. They say, okay, we'll text you when the table is ready. You wait, you stand around, you go up and down the strip, look inside a few stores, get a little small bite to eat from one of the little food trucks up and down the way, because you want to have a little bite to eat to satisfy your hunger, but you want to save your real hunger for the restaurant. And you build up all this anticipation and excitement for the meal that you are hoping to eat, only to get that text and go back to that restaurant and get sat at your table and look at the menu and realize that all they're selling is hot dogs. You didn't get a chance, or you didn't rather take the chance to look at the menu beforehand. You didn't really take a chance to analyze what they were serving at the restaurant, but you got caught up on the hype of what everybody was talking about. You got caught up on the hype of everybody's outfits and the glitz and the glam and the clout of being able to take that Instagram photo and say, hey, I went to the restaurant just like everybody else and I had my experience, right? Sometimes this is what we do in life also. And it's kind of crazy because whether it is through a specific scripture passage, whether it is through general knowledge or wisdom, whether it is through your own personal life experience or the life experience of others, a lot of times we can clearly see when something does not or will not serve us. We can clearly see when something is kind of harmful or not good for us. But sometimes the way others make it look, sometimes the hype that is associated with these things can be so great that it causes us to still want the thing that we know is not good for us. We know is unrighteous. We know is harmful to our mind, body, and spirit, but we still pursue. Let this be your warning. Let this be your precursor to let you know that if you know full well that X, Y, and Z is not good for you, there's no way that the big picture can be good for you. It might be a good time to understand, or might be a good time to take a step back and think to yourself, hey, maybe this is not something that I should be doing. And that honestly should be a very, very clear way to know that God is saying no to this. If he's already shown you through 4 or 5 different avenues that this thing is not going to serve you and is not going to be beneficial to your life in any way, form, or fashion, you have to be really tripping to tell me that you think he's saying yes to something that he's already confirmed to you in multiple ways that he has said no. But we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving. Number 3, the third way to know that God is trying to tell you no is that if in the pursuit of the thing that you are attempting to achieve, or in the pursuit of getting to the thing that you want to have, you have to dishonor your relationship with God, then you can rest assured that he is telling you no. You can rest assured that he is telling you no. I don't know how you all's marriages work. I don't know how y'all relationships with your friends and family work. But I don't know about anybody who has met somebody and there was a connection. And within this connection, a bond began to build and trust began to fester, and vows were taken or promises were made, responsibilities began to be shared, expectations began to be built. And then at the drop of a hat, when a certain goal popped into the eye of one person or the other, the entire relationship became insignificant, and it was okay with the party that was getting the short end of the stick of the relationship becoming insignificant. Uh, you would not be okay if, in the pursuit of said thing, X, Y, and Z, a person that you had built a history of trust and relationship and reliance with decided that for the sake of something cheap and quick, that they were going to throw away all that you all had built. And I like to suggest to you that the relationship that you have with God should function the same way. We do know that we serve a jealous God, and this isn't even intended to try to break scope of just the no that you might be receiving, but this is to call attention to the fact that the person that you might think that you need to be to achieve said goal, a lot of times is not the person that you need to be, number one. But number two, a lot of times we don't take into account that the way that we get something is the way that we have to keep it. XYZ, if you had to dishonor your relationship with God to achieve said goal, if you had to be a different person, if you had to fake, if you had to lie, if you had to cheat, if you had to steal, if you had to kill, if you had to do things that are not only destructive to your flesh, but destructive to your spirit and your relationship with God to get to X, Y, and Z place, I can rest assured, or I can leave you rested assured that God is saying no to that. God does not want you to go down the road where you have to distance yourself from him in order to achieve said goal. And so on today, what I like to encourage you with is this. In your pursuit, in your ambition, in your journey of becoming, be patient and be still enough in your rigor, in your work, in your consistency to have a special ear to try to hear when God is trying to tell you no. You can save yourself so much time, so much energy, and so many resources, and honestly, a lifetime of love uh, and progression by allowing yourself to take a no and redirect rather than continuing to try to fight for what has already been confirmed is not supposed to be yours. But just like always, once again, my name is Avery Taylor. You are listening to the Larger Than Logic podcast, and I am so glad that you have allowed me to be a part of your journey.